So in the 911 lineup, you guys know the GT3 is the top for a lot of people, including myself, right? It all started with the original 996 GT3 and RS models, carried over 20 years now to the newest 992 GT3 RS, just an incredible car. The problem is, the demand is so incredibly high, now more than ever, for high revving, naturally aspirated Porsche 911 engines. So the question becomes, is it worth it to try and build your own GT3 experience on a budget? Is there even such a thing as a budget Porsche? And if there is, do you even want to be a part of it? So I'm going to try to answer a lot of those questions today with the help of this modified 996 behind me. Let's go for a drive. All right, you guys, how cool is this? Pink seat belts, hot pink seat belts. I feel like this is a bit of a middle finger to the yellow RS seat belts. The real car you want, of course, is a GT3 or GT3 RS. That's what we're striving for here. Problem is, the 996 RS was never sold in North America, and the GT3 was available in very limited numbers at the time. And then I feel like the 997 GT3 and GT3 RSs is when they really hit kind of, I guess you could say, the mainstream automotive consciousness here in North America. And for a lot of people, that 997 4.0 is the pinnacle. It's the right size car. And yeah, it's the best engine with a manual transmission. So the 996 has a lot of those same characteristics. It's still a small car before the 991 came in and just rocked the boat. Wow, shifter feels great. The shifter is absolutely not stock. It has some bushings and stuff. That is a raspy engine right there. This one has been modified to look like a GT3 and a little bit further. So yes, it has kind of a GT3 wing on it. It's not completely accurate as to what a GT3 wing would be. Matt said he got this on Renlist. The front, he's just done a splitter up there, and the tow hook gives it a little bit lower of a look. It's not the GT3 bumper. He has put on the GT3 wheels though. He found a set of GT3 wheels though that he put on. It looks fantastic. I don't know how you guys feel about this color. I kind of like it. Oh yeah, so easy to drive. Steering sharp. It's definitely not over boosted. Just getting out of a 99 Skyline GTT, those are slightly over boosted from the factory, but Porsche still had the feel here. I mean, that feels great. We're gonna turn on AC. I have no idea how this climate control works. They can't even spell manual right. And I know what you're thinking, Marcus, a GT3 body kit does not make a GT3. And you'd be right. This one's been bored out from the original 3.4 to 3.8 liters. It's basically a 997.2 GT3. No, I'm kidding. He's got the 997 3.8 airbox on there, an exhaust, and that's about it. You know, dial in the coilovers. It's got KW coilovers on here, a modified shifter, and that's all, because what you're working with is a base foundation of a 911. And if you can get past the fact that you have to look at the front end of a 996, which I don't think is all that bad. It is the least desirable to look at in terms of the entire 911 lineup. That I do agree with, but it's not that bad. So if you can get past that, it's the driving experience that really matters. So tons of torque. I was worried it was gonna have gears that were just too long, but that's not the case. It doesn't quite have that GT3 scream, you know, you're really only gonna get that from the Metzger engine. That bump usually rubs on most cars. That is so good. It's still got a high-pitched growl though. Doesn't rev, of course, as high as a GT3, but what we're looking for here is torque and power above the base 3.4s, around 300 horsepower, and just short gears so that we're still able to play with it. The 911 Turbo to me is a touring car. I don't want my naturally aspirated 911 to be a touring car. Like, take a look at this, 3,000 RPM. Oh, I can feel the variable valve timing, absolutely, around 5,000 RPM or so. Wow. Toss it into a corner, the front grips up, and then if you're really tuned in, you can feel the weight of the rear and the momentum kind of set the rear wheels. And then you're like, okay, I've got grip, let's go. There's like a certain resonance. And we've caught cyclists. There's a certain resonance that Porsche flat sixes have that just are not replicated, is not replicated anywhere else in the automotive world. And this is way closer to a buckled down driver's car than I would have ever expected. Another 996. Oh no, that was a Boxster. He did not wave, nor should he. Of course, this doesn't have a lot of the chassis rigidity and additional kind of motorsport derived stuff that the 996 GT3 has. And yes, the owner of this car, Matt, has the plate GT3-ish. He has the badge GT3-ish. He's kind of poking fun at it. What he's not doing is pretending like this is a GT3. And that's what I love most about this car. It doesn't take itself too seriously. No one takes a second look at a base Carrera. We all know that, but the goal here isn't to turn heads. Matt will tell you how this car came to be in a couple minutes, but to me, it's turned into the ultimate compromise between Carrera and GT3. It has NA torque and displacement close to the GT3, actually larger displacement than the 996 GT3. What it doesn't have is, well, yeah, the DNA of motorsport screaming past 8,000 RPM, but also the stuff you don't see or hear. A GT3 is more rigid than a base Carrera, has less sound deadening, no rear seats, different suspension components, better cooling, bigger 6-piston brakes up front, and the list just goes on. This one does have stock brakes, but with upgraded pads and also a GT3 master cylinder for more feel. It's a Carrera with an attitude. The car is stiff. The car is definitely stiff. Perhaps not GT3 stiff, but new dampers go a long way here. The KWs have really, hopefully, I mean, I haven't driven the cars back to back, but probably sorted out a lot of that quote unquote sloppiness you could potentially get with an old and tired 996 Carrera. I mean, it feels like it easily has around 350 horsepower. Sure, the interior gray, it's a 90s gray, not the greatest. The steering wheel, not perfect. There are better steering wheels out there, but seating position, awesome. Shifter, awesome. Clutch is great. Brake feel, wow, I was not expecting this brake pedal to feel this, just this firm and connected, but again, it's been a minute since I've driven a 911 like this that I can chuck around and know the 993 LS swapped RWB was not a 911 you could just chuck around. This one I'm driving today also has been fitted with the extended leather package, so it is not your basic 996 interior. It's actually halfway decent. I would absolutely daily this car. Throttle response is incredible. This is actually drive-by-wire. I did not know that the early 996s were cable and then the later ones were drive-by-wire. I did not know that until today, but so tossable. Just, you can throw it into a corner and expect nothing but just feedback. The car does exactly what I want it to do. If there's one thing you could really tell between a brand new 992 and a 996 is the precision, that last little bit of precision is just not here. In the steering, on center, it's not quite as precise. When you get into it, there's tons of feel, which I love, this hydraulic power steering. But
hi, my name is Matt, and I'm driving a 2001 996 Carrera. IMS went, decided I should do something about it. Shop said, do you want to rebuild back to 3.4? Do you want to go to 3.8? It's just a little bit more money. And I said, screw it, let's just go to 3.8. After 2017, it was just sitting, doing nothing. I decided to buy myself a Lotus Elise as a graduation present in 2018. And then I really still wanted a Porsche. So I was like, well, this car's broken. What am I going to do? 996 Turbo was the answer. Then I don't have to worry about the IMS. Had that car for a month and then decided, I really miss having the naturally aspirated car. So we decided to rebuild this car. Terrible financial decisions overall, but a lot of enjoyment. So originally it was a 2001 lapis blue over graphite gray Carrera 2. And then eventually I decided, well, the paint was so bad because it was sitting outside for about 3 years. Maybe it needs a little refresh. So we decided to go in a slightly different color. The color is cool turquoise metallic. It is not Ipanema blue, it's not Wimbledon green, it's not any of these Porsche colors. It is actually a Honda color from the Honda Fit. So a lot of people are gonna maybe give me some guff for that, but too bad. I don't care, I like it.
I like it too.
Thank you. It is a numeric shifter, so numeric brand. I think it's all metal inside, there's no plastic. The throws originally are very, very long, and this is just nice and short, so I like it a lot. As this project has kind of progressed, I thought, well, maybe I should have just bought a GT3 in the first place. So then I made this car probably what I would have ordered in 2001 if I was ordering off the lot. Just trying our best to piece it one piece together at a time, the sports seats as well. And now kind of all these parts have almost become unattainium to try and get. So I'm glad I got them when I did. No, I would definitely not recommend that, because I think if we totaled the amount of money that I have into this car, which I will not say on camera because my wife might watch this, it might not be worth it. So I would say go buy a trash regular, real GT3 and do what you want. It's probably the better idea.
Does it make sense to own both a turbo and this car?
Absolutely. Live your life. There are two totally different cars. Yeah, the interiors may be the same and you might have the same feel of the car overall, but the car's feel in terms of driving experience is absolutely totally different. I would say there's no reason not to own, say, a GT3 or a naturally aspirated car as well as a turbo.
There is no such thing as a budget Porsche. That is just a true fact, okay? So if you came to this video thinking you're gonna have a budget GT3, 3.8 liter GT3, there's just no way. And that begs the question, how close does this build get to just buying a 996 GT3, which those are around about 100,000 USD now. So not cheap, but not 997 GT3 prices, which are about double that. If you want a GT3, you're going to do anything in your power to get a GT3. That's just the bulk of it. But I think the answer is just do the math. Do the math. You know, thank you guys so much for watching. This is not a video I expected to make, but Matt contacted me and was like, hey, you might like this car, and you were right, Matt. I love your car. It is a ton of fun. It sounds the business, it drives, and it's something to consider. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe. We'll see you soon.